Hi everybody. So I did Pilates outside out here a little bit ago, and it's really nice today. It started to get a little sunny and hot toward the end of Pilates, but now all these clouds rolled in. You can probably see them up there in the background, and so they're blocking the sun, and so now it just feels lovely out here again. And so I thought, why not? We'll do yoga outside today as well. And I mentioned in Pilates that this outside thing probably won't be a good idea for me in a few more weeks, because it's going to get super hot here before long. But it's lovely right now. So we're going to go ahead and start seated today. I'm hoping you guys can hear me okay. I have a little waterfall in my pool. I'm going to show you that real quick. And so you may hear this water effect behind me. I don't know. There's my waterfall. You can see the pool vacuum going in the bottom of the pool, but there's a little waterfall. It's lovely background noise for when you're doing yoga. It's very calming and soothing. I'm not sure if you guys can see it very well though, or hear it very well, excuse me. But anyway, we're going to start laying down, nice and relaxed start to class today. So make yourself comfortable. If it's easier for you on your back, feel free to put a block underneath your knees, or feel free to have your feet down on the ground. That may help any tightness or discomfort in the low back. So make yourself comfortable. Let everything relax. And we're going to start with some good breathing. So inhaling and exhaling through your nose. And as you lay on your mat, think about being able to feel your rib cage lift and expand on the inhale. And then on your exhale, feel your chest and your rib cage fall and contract back together. So slowing that breath down, trying for a full inhale and a full exhale. Now let's move our hands so that the middle fingers touch right over the top of your belly button. So now as you take that really deep yoga breath, on your inhale, those fingertips should move slightly apart. And then on your exhale, those fingertips touch back together right over the top of your belly button. Keep going with that breath. So the idea here is to not only breathe into your rib cage on these inhales and exhales, but also to deepen that breath, to bring it more into the belly as well. So you're going to fill the rib cage, the lungs, but you're also going to fill the belly and the spaces in the abdomen. So it's a deeper, longer, slower, fuller breath. And this is the kind of breath that is going to help relax you, reduce your stress level. Yoga is very good for reducing stress level, and they found that cortisol, which is the stress hormone, if you can reduce that, it also helps to possibly reduce your belly fat, because if you produce too much cortisol, what it does is it makes you add or gain belly fat. So we don't want that. We want to live more stress-free. So practicing some of this slow, deep yoga breathing every day has so many benefits, and that's one of them. Let's go ahead and now hug the knees into the chest. Pull them both in nice and tight. And let's add a little side-to-side rock. And we're going to drop arms out by our sides like a T. And now we're going to take an inhale while those knees are in the center, and we're going to exhale as we drop knees over to the right. Inhaling knees back to center. Exhaling knees to the left. So let's continue to go side to side with the breath. Taking your time. Trying to fill the lungs and belly. Trying to empty the belly and lungs. Let's do one more on each side. And we'll meet with those knees back in the center. Now we're going to cross our right leg over our left leg, like we're sitting cross-legged. We're going to leave those arms out like a T, and we're going to take that top leg and we're going to pull it over to the right. So that right leg pulls the left leg over to the right. You want to leave your left shoulder in contact with your mat, and you're just letting the weight of the right leg pull down on that left leg. So you should be feeling this here in the hip and in the piriformis area in the very, very low back. Nice deep breath. Let's bring that back to center, and we'll uncross. Let's cross the other direction. So left leg crosses over the right leg like you're sitting cross-legged, and now our left leg pulls the right leg over to the left side of the body. Remember to keep that right shoulder on your mat. Bring it back to center. Let's uncross those legs. We're going to hug those knees back in. Let's take one arm above our head so we can roll onto that side. And use another hand to help press up. We're going to come to hands and knees. gonna do a little bit of calf. So let's make sure that we've got our knees stacked underneath the hips, and you've got about the size of your fist that fits right in between those knees. Wrists are stacked right underneath the shoulders. And we're gonna take a nice big inhale as we fill the lungs and the belly. And then as we exhale, we're gonna tuck the tailbone under, we're gonna round that spine, we're gonna drop our head, slowly exhaling as we stretch like a cat. So let's inhale, tipping that tailbone and head up. Let's exhale, tucking those both down and under. Go ahead and keep flowing with the breath. Let's do one more. And then we'll meet back in our neutral spine. So we're gonna take our right hand and we're gonna thread it through our left hand and our left knee. We're gonna do a little thread the needle. So we're gonna slide that hand out away from us. So the further that hand gets away, the elbow comes down. You can keep going, and hopefully it's comfortable to lay the shoulder down and the head down as well, relaxing into this pose. If you want to feel more sensation, you can try to reach out further with that hand. Let's take one more nice big inhale, and then coming back up as we exhale. So let's do the other side. Let's take that left hand through, reaching out and away. Let's do one more big inhale, and then let's exhale as we come back up slowly. All right, let's go ahead and find our way to extended child's pose. Sitting back on those heels, reaching out as far as you can in front of you. So as you reach out with those fingertips, that pulls the forearms up off the mat. And if it's comfortable, we're gonna rest that forehead down on your yoga mat. Giving yourself permission to return to this resting posture anytime you need it during our practice. And we're going to start to add movement when you're ready. We're going to rock forward, finding a kneeling plank, zipping those abs in, engaging the core, and we're going to exhale as we stretch it back. And when you're ready, adding that chaturanga move as you come out into this kneeling plank, keeping those elbows in really close by the sides of your bodies, lowering, pressing back up, and stretching back. Only going as low as you can control it, keeping your good core stability, keeping those elbows tucked in by your side. So your range of motion may be here, That may be all the further you can go and keep those elbows in close. And that's fine. Everybody is different. Every body is different. Everybody's strength is different. Everybody's flexibility is different. Let's do 2 more. And we'll meet back in that extended child's pose. Let's turn this into our half series vinyasa. Inhaling as we come out, exhaling as we lower all the way down. Slowly. Inhale, sliding forward into cobra, using the low back to lift the shoulders. Then exhaling as we press back to our extended child's pose. Let's do that again. Inhaling, exhaling, inhaling, and exhaling. Let's do 2 more just like that. And let's meet back in extended child's pose after that last one. Good, let's go ahead and find our way to our first downward facing dog. So let's tuck those toes under and we'll lift that tailbone up nice and high and go ahead and walk those feet. Press through one heel and then the other. Hold still in our downward facing dog, tipping that tailbone up nice and high. Feel like you're pushing your mat away from you with those hands to help you flatten out that back. And now let's go back and forth. We're going to find our way to full plank. And then we're going to tip that tailbone up and find our way back to downward facing dog. So let's go back and forth, taking your time. Let's meet back in downward facing dog. And now we'll turn this into our half series vinyasa. So inhaling into full plank, you have the option to put your knees down here if you'd like. We're going to exhale as we lower with control. Inhale, upward facing dog, or you can stick with cobra. Exhaling back to down dog. Let's do that 3 more times. Meeting back in down dog. Let's put softness in those knees, and we're gonna walk the feet up toward the hands and find an easy forward fold where we rest our torso right on top of the quads, and we let our head and neck release and relax. We release the arms and shoulders, just breathing. And on your next inhale, we're gonna come up halfway, half lift, and then we're gonna exhale right back to that easy forward fold. So if you want to turn to the side and maybe look in a mirror, you can see if you've got a nice flat back. So you don't wanna look like this. You don't wanna look like this. You really wanna go for that flat tabletop position where somebody could rest a tray on your back and it wouldn't slide off in any direction. You can leave those hands on the shins or the legs, or you can take those arms and float them by your sides, your choice. Let's do one more, and then we'll meet back in that easy forward fold. On your next big inhale, let's sweep those arms all the way up, and let's exhale as we swan dive, hinging at the waist, softening those knees so those hands can reach for the bottom, inhaling on the way up, exhaling on the way down. Let's do one more swan dive. Let's inhale up, and this time let's exhale as we find our way into our first chair pose. So remember, you want an inch or two in between the knees. You can always bring the hands to heart center if having those arms extended bothers the low back, or you can have them extended out. You want to feel weight in the heels here. Let's flow our chair. Inhaling as we sweep up, exhaling as we sit back into that chair. Let's meet down in this next chair, bringing hands to heart center. Option to stay here with weight in the heels, or you can come on to the balls, the feet, and the toes, finding that balancing chair. And let's go ahead and come on up and shake out those legs a little bit. All right, we're going to put all of that together into our sun salutations. I'm going to fix the camera just the tiniest bit of an angle. I hope it's a little better, and I don't cut my head off quite so much anyway. Okay, so let's start in our good mountain pose. Think about spreading the toes apart, really grounding the feet into your yoga mat. Zipping the abdominals up and in. And as you do that, feel that spine lengthen and your body grow taller, lifting through the crown of the head. Let's roll the shoulders up and then back, and we're going to reach through the fingertips to pull those shoulders away from the ears. All right, let's inhale, sweeping those arms up. Let's exhale as we swan dive. Softening those knees. Let's bring the hands down. We'll take the right knee back first, the left knee follows, and we'll find that extended child's pose. Let's move through one vinyasa. Inhaling, exhaling, inhaling, and exhaling. Now let's bring just the right foot to the top of our mat. Little hip flexor stretch here. So if the hips are back, you're going to maybe feel this more in the hamstring. But we want to think about pressing the hips forward so that you can sink down in this. You want to feel your sensation here on the front of that left leg in that hip flexor area. Option to stay here with hands down for support. You could come up a little higher, you could put a block here, or you could bring both hands up and you could even roll the shoulders back, adding almost a little back bend to this to help open up the front side of the body a little bit more. Option to clasp those hands behind you, maybe bringing that gaze up toward the sky. All right, let's meet with hands back on our mat. And now let's go ahead and tip those hips back, and we'll find a little hamstring opening here. So you can leave this foot down on the mat, or you can let yourself go back a little further and pull those toes up. That may give you a little more sensation in that hamstring stretch. The knee here should be loose. All right, we don't want to lock it out. We don't want to hyperextend it. We want it to be soft. Let's press back forward, and now we're going to bring the left foot up to meet the right. Let's inhale, half lift. Let's exhale, forward fold. Let's inhale as we sweep up. Let's exhale into our chair. Inhaling up. And we'll do that all again on the other side. Exhale, swan diving, flat back. Soft knees, hands come down. Left knee leads us back, right knee follows. Extended child's pose. Let's do one vinyasa. And let's step up to the top of our mat with just the left foot. So we want to look down and be able to see all our toes. We want the ankle stacked underneath the knee. And so remember I said if the hips are back, like I just shifted back here, you're going to feel it more in the hamstring. But first, we're going to shift those hips forward so that we feel it more in the hip flexor. Now, if you're not feeling anything at all, you may want to slide this back knee back another inch or two. You can walk the hands up You can roll the shoulders back if you want. Another option is to try clasping those hands behind you and bringing that gaze up to the sky. This may challenge your balance. Let's meet with those hands back down on the mat. And let's go ahead and shift back, shifting those hips back. You can leave the foot down flat, or you can tip those toes up and sit back even further. Trying to go for a flat back here. So we don't want to hunch and round and do this. We want to keep the chin lifted. Kind of flatten out that back. A flat back is always the safest position for us. Let's tip back forward, and we're going to bring that right foot up to meet the left. Inhaling, half lift. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling as we sweep up. Exhaling into our chair. Inhaling up. Let's exhale as we swan dive back down. Hands come down, and let's step back with our right foot, and the left foot follows for downward facing dog. Let's do one vinyasa from here. Option to put those knees down if you want. Meeting back in our downward facing dog. You can stay here. You could drop back down to child's pose. Or maybe you want to sweep that right leg up for a three-legged dog. I want to add one more option. A little challenge here. You don't have to. You can stay here, or you could stay in down dog, or you could stay in child's pose. But another challenge is to lower into a one-legged plank where you let the ankles connect, and then you tip back up to that three-legged dog. Going back and forth. Kind of like we did earlier, but we had both feet down then. This is just one foot down, the other foot never touches. Let's meet back in down dog. That leg can be down, or it can still be up. And we're gonna step or sweep this right foot through to the top of our mat for our lunge. Holding here for a few breaths. Trying to keep the chin up. Trying to let the hips drop down. Option to stay here, or to come up for a balance, or to clasp those hands behind you. Your choice. Let's meet with those hands back down on our mat, and we're going to bring the left foot up to meet the right. Let's inhale, half lift. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhale, sweeping up. Exhaling into our chair. Inhaling up. One more time through. Let's swan dive it back down. Hands come down, and the left foot leads us back to find our down dog. Moving through one vinyasa. Meeting back in down dog. So here are your choices. You could drop into child's pose. You could stay here with regular down dog. Or we can sweep that left leg up for a three-legged dog. And now, option to connect those ankles, finding that one-legged plank, and then right back to that three-legged dog. Totally optional. Let's meet back in down dog or our three-legged dog, your choice. And let's step or sweep that left foot to the top of our mat for our lunge. Chin is up. Let the hips drop down and release. Option to stay here with hands on the floor, or balancing lunge, or maybe clasping those hands behind you, adding that extra element of challenge to balance if you shift that gaze upward. Let's meet with hands back down on our mat, and we're going to bring that right foot up to meet the left. Inhaling, half lift. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling up. Exhaling into our chair. Inhaling up. And let's exhale, bringing hands to heart center. Inhaling and exhaling. And it's time for a sip of water if you want one. Okay. We're going to turn to the side to use the full length of our yoga mat. Now we're going to stay standing. So I'm going to angle the feet out so they're kind of pointing toward the corners of your mat. Okay, so as you stand here relaxed, just loose and relaxed, you've got the back side sticking out behind you, and you've got the abdomen sticking out in front of you, okay? So we want to think about, as we add a little movement here, is we want to think about some good posture. So a lot of times I'll call it suck and tuck. So you're going to tuck the tailbone under at the same time you tuck the abdomen in, or you suck the abdomen in, I'm sorry. So we're going to suck and tuck at the same time. So now we're in really good posture. It's like we have our good girdle on. All right. We're going to take those arms out so that we look like a big X. All right. Suck and tuck. Take a nice big inhale. We're going to exhale as we bend those knees, and we're going to draw the elbows in by our sides. So it's inhale, open up into that big X. It's exhale as we drop down. Moving with the breath. Now as you drop down, we want that tailbone to drop straight down. So you don't want to do this. This is wrong. Okay, that's wrong. This is correct. Dropping that tailbone straight down underneath you. We're trying to keep our knees open here, so we don't want this to happen. We don't want to look like this. We want those knees to be open. On this next one, we're going to stay down there. We're going to open those arms up long for sun pose. Roll the shoulders back. Make sure you're still sucked and tucked. Holding here, trying to pull those knees back. And let's go ahead and you can come up and relax those arms for a moment. Good. Couple easy breaths. All right, we're going to change that up just a little bit. So, we're going to sweep the arms up as we inhale. Then we're going to sweep the arms down in front of us. As we exhale, we drop down. Now remember that tailbone still is going straight down. It's not doing this. It's going straight down. So inhale, sweeping up. Exhale, sinking down. Find that nice flat back. You've got a tall spine here. Let's meet down at the bottom. So let's see if we can move those feet maybe a little further out of our mat, out on our mat towards the ends. And we're going to see if we can sink down a little bit. Now, you could grab a block if you've got one close by, and maybe you have something to put your hands on. Think about trying to keep those knees back still. You could even rest hands on those knees and roll those shoulders back here. Maybe getting a little inner thigh stretch as you do that. Flat back is important, so we don't want to be here. This is wrong. We want a nice flat back. Hands can be on the block if you want. And now we're going to take it over to one side. So we're going to straighten one leg. We leave the bend in the other leg. You can have hand on the block if you want. You could take hand down to the floor. It depends on your flexibility. You could take both hands down to the floor. Either way, you're trying to keep a flat back. So we're not here. This is wrong. See the roundness in my back? Wrong. We want to try to flatten out that back as much as possible. When you do that, you should feel more sensation in the inner thigh of this long leg. Let's walk back to the center. Let's straighten both legs this time. So you can think about your tabletop position again. Maybe you've got your block here, or those hands can be on your legs. Either way works. We're going to walk it over to the other side. So this knee bends, the other leg straight. Maybe a hand goes down to the floor. Maybe both hands go down to the floor. Remember to look for that flat back. Good, let's shift it back to center. Let's have both legs be straight again. Let's find that flat back. And now, let's point all 10 toes to the side. So our toes are no longer angled out. Let's point them straight ahead. And now we're going to drop down a little lower. So the key is trying to keep your flat back. Maybe you get to tip your block on one of its lower sides. Maybe you can bring your hands all the way to the floor. But if you look like this, that's a no-no. That's a rounded spine. We want a nice flat back. So you're trying to hinge at the hips and waist and keep that flat back as long as you can. You can play with the block. Maybe you are trying to reach your forehead to rest on your block. Maybe you're trying to reach your elbows down to the ground. Breathing, trying to relax and release those inner thighs. One more option, if you feel like you could go a little lower, but it's just hard to get there, is to reach for the outsides of the feet or ankles. And now maybe using some arm strength can pull you a little bit lower. So I'm going to try to bend at the elbows. I'm still trying to keep a flat back. So I'm not here. I'm not all rounded. I'm trying to flatten out that back as I pull with those arms. And let's slowly start to release back up. You can walk back up, hands on the legs, or you can use the block to come back up. Soften the knees when you get up to the top, and we can start walking those feet back together. Bring hands to the legs. Come up with a flat back. We want to go into it the same, or we want to come out of it the same way we went into it. So, being a real stickler about the flat back thing. It's really the safest position for your spine and really your discs. Because when we have a rounded spine, we only have so many of these in our body. Before the wear and tear of doing this again and again gets to the vertebrae and the discs, and all of a sudden this causes a compressed disc on one side and a bulge out the other side of the spine, and that's when you get a slip disc. So it's much safer for us to keep that spine in good alignment, and we don't have to worry about the slip disc. So, oh gosh, it wasn't even that long ago, and I still see it in some classes. I go to group fitness classes occasionally, and I'll still have people, they're down like doing a stretch, and the instructor will say, come up round the back as you come up. There really couldn't be anything worse. So it's better when you're down here to bring hands here for maybe a little bit of help, but come up with that nice flat back. Everything is so much more protected. You're using some core strength, and you're protecting the spine and vertebrae that way. All right, there was my speech for the day. So let's go ahead, and I want us to do a quick treat. And then we're going to come down to the mat, and we'll use our strap for a little bit of flexibility work. So let's find balance and weight on one foot, and our other foot can either rest on the ankle, the shin, or I'm sorry, I should say the calf, because it's not the shin, it's not this. We're trying to open that knee out to the side, or the inner thigh. So find that spot that's comfortable for you. Find a comfortable spot for your arms. You've got lots of choices. Find a focal point to keep your gaze on. Make sure you're tall in your tree. Those abdominals are zipped up and in, helping you lengthen that spine. Lift through the crown of the head. Make sure those shoulders are rolled back and down. And now let's think about starting to release from our tree, but we want to release slowly, gracefully. Let's swing this leg. Swing is not a good word. Let's shift this leg out in front, and then let's set it down. All right, let's do our other side. spread those toes, get your good base, find your happy place with that foot. The only place we don't put it is against the knee. Knee is pointing out to the side, shoulders are straight ahead, super tall, long spine. Let's think about releasing super slow, gracefully. So as you release that leg, let's shift it out in front of us, and then let's set it down. Good job. Let's come on down to our mats. We'll start in our staff pose, our stick man, checking in with our posture. Zip those legs together, flex the feet. Find your best posture, shoulders back and down, abs zipped in. Hands can either be in the lap or next to you. All right, let's grab our strap. We're going to start with a half-seated forward fold. So we're going to pull one foot in alongside the other inner thigh. And I know not everybody needs the strap to reach for this foot, but a lot of times if you reach all the way to the toes and you're lacking some of the flexibility either in your hamstring or your low back, you will find that you hunch and round. And we just talked about why that's bad. So we want to stay tall in this, so it helps to have the strap. That way you can keep your really good posture and you can use some of your arm strength to pull you further into this half-seated forward fold. So part of the key is keeping the chin lifted so that you're looking out over the tops of the toes. So we're not trying to do nose to knee, because nose to knee rounds your spine. You want to look out over the toes. You want to think that someday down the road that you could reach your nose all the way to your toes. That would give you a nice flat back and a wonderful flexible hamstring and low back. Option here as well, if you want more sensation, you can also think about trying to lift your heel up off the mat. That may give you more sensation in the back of your calf and the back of your knee, if that feels good to you. And let's release and we'll do the other side. So left leg long. Bring that foot to the inner thigh. You're tall. Put that strap in place. Keep that good posture as you start to walk those hands down that strap. Once you get to a spot where you feel like you can't keep a flat back anymore, stop with those hands there, and then maybe you can use some of your bicep strength. Bend those elbows to try to feel a little more sensation in the hamstring. Don't forget to look out over the tops of the toes. Option to maybe pick that heel up. Good breathing while we do these forward folds. That's going to help you relax. And let's go ahead and release. Come back up nice and tall.
So we're gonna do a full seated forward fold now. And this one, a lot of times when you start to pull on your strap, you have to really concentrate on keeping those feet apart, because if not, the feet will like cross like this, and that can be a little uncomfortable. So some of you may remember my little trick that I like to do here, totally optional. But if you put the block there on the back of his feet and then put your strap around the block, yay! You don't have to worry about the feet crossing. So that's an option. Keeping your chin elevated. You can start to walk those hands, and you want to feel so you're hinging forward, hinging at the hips, maybe using some arm strength to pull you further, trying to keep that flat back. Breathing. One other trick, you can think about reaching back and trying to move the meaty part back a little bit. Grab on and kind of pull it back. And holy cow, you just got some extra room, a little more space to pull down in your forward fold. All right, let's go ahead and release slowly. You can set that block and strap off to the side, and we're gonna find our way to our Shavasana for our resting pose. So same thing, if you need to keep the knees bent in your Shavasana, that's totally fine. Get yourself comfortable. Let the palms turn up to the sky. Let the feet fall out to the sides. Let those shoulders relax and rest back. Let the face release and relax. Check in with your good yoga breathing again. Feel the rise and fall of the chest and abdomen. And let yourself melt into your mat, just relaxing.
slide one foot in and then the other. Pulling those knees into our chest. Releasing one arm above our head so we can roll onto our side. Using that other hand to help us press up carefully. Slowly finding your way to seated. Finding that good posture again. And let's either clasp hands behind us, or you could use a strap, or you could reach for the opposite elbow with those hands. And we're going to hinge forward into Yoga Mudra, sealing in the benefits of our practice today. And as we come up, releasing a great big inhale, sweeping those arms up. Exhaling as we bring hands to heart center. Hope you all have a wonderful weekend, a very happy Easter. Namaste. I really enjoyed the outside classes today. I hope you did too, with the pool, and we've got some big oak trees here in the back behind us. So kind of nice. Don't get used to it though. It's going to get too hot here before long. So have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Hopefully you're all spending time with family or friends for the Easter holiday. I'll be thinking about you all, and I'll see you again next week.